Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Round 13 review. We're recording live on Monday, the 9th of June, on the King's birthday. After completion of Round 13, the second bye week is done and dusted. I'm your host, BAILSDT, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me, as always, is one of my co-hosts and fellow AFL Fantasy Fanatic, is Tim Guesty. You can find him at Tim Guesty. Guesty, mate, how was your weekend?
Yeah, pretty good weekend, mate. Yeah, we'll talk about it soon. But yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. Another good week in a row. So starting to climb up the ranks a bit.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. No, you're having a good couple of weeks, which is very, very good to see. And joining us is a special guest. He's jumped on a few times this year. One of our good friends, Taezer, who's also flying, mate. Hey, mate, how was your weekend?
Yeah, good, mate. Awesome weekend. Good fun hanging out with the boys and playing some sports and doing well at fantasy.
Beautiful, mate. Well, let's get sort of stuck straight into it. Taezer, what was your score? What's your round rank? And what's your overall rank into now?
Oh, good question. But I'm never good with the round rank. But the overall rank, I've moved up to 83 with a 1961. And yeah, had a pretty good week.
Monster. Well done, mate.
Pretty good. He's in the top 100. Beautiful, mate. It's is that first time this year you've finished a round inside top 100?
Yeah, I think the first time that I finished a round. Yeah, I've been inside a few times, but usually dropped out.
Yeah, mate. Beautiful. Nah, love to hear it. Guesty, mate, how was your weekend? What was your score, round rank, and overall rank?
Oh shit! I should have been prepared. So my score was a 1936. So yeah, like I said, another big week for me. Let me just get into my round rankings. So yeah, so that brings me now inside the top 5,000, which I'm pretty bloody happy about, considering I was out at 33,000 at one point there. So I feel like I've really made some ground recently. And then my round rank was a 2,209. So not quite as good as last week, but still pretty solid.
Yeah, mate. Very, very nicely done. I was 1831, so that's I moved up, but when I'm comparing to other people, it's shit. This year's been shit. We moved up. What was it? I moved up 9444, so that's what 96 spots. When you're only moving up 96 spots and you're only ranked 9,500, that's you're still not really doing anything. I'm just wondering if I'm going to have a week in the top 1,000. I'm waiting for that week to really make a move, but unfortunately has not come as of yet. Plus and minus threes, Taezer, mate. Where are you going to kick us off?
I am going to give my +3 to Sam Doc. Sam Doherty, brought him in. Definitely one of the more speculative picks. I considered bringing in the Bonds or bringing in Bailey Dale, and both would have been solid picks. But getting Sam Doherty at about 200,000 less than Bailey Dale has kind of set up this next week and allowed me to have a pretty good week while still banking a few $100,000 and going into this week. Should be a good one for me.
Yeah, we will definitely be touching on Sam Doherty when we get to that game. -3?
My -3 probably goes to Isaac Rankin. He has been someone that he's just not quite doing it for me and leaves me with a tough kind of situation where I'm not sure if I'm going to hold him through his bye or not, even though he's got some really juicy matchups just on the other side of the bye. But he's not really getting that midfield time and he's not scoring like a top 6 forward. So, yeah.
Yeah. As Warnie's been saying for a few weeks, is a tough watch at the moment for fantasy. Guesty, mate, plus and -3 for you?
Yeah, I'll have to give my +3 to Max Holmes, 146. What a legend. I wish I'd maybe moved the VC from Bailey Smith to him, but yeah, didn't think about it in time. And my -3... Look, Sam Berry. Well, look, here are my 3 lowest scores: a 58 from Angus Clark, a 60 from Sam Berry, and a 63 from Levi Ashcroft. I probably should have jumped off Levi, but once again, his time on ground was at 75%. So, he's normally up in those kind of mid-80s. So I don't know whether they're managing him or something there, especially after the sub the week before. He might be on the chopping block for me. Samberry, I mean, he's made some money, but he really hasn't put any points on the board for me. And then, I'm not going to give it to a rookie, Angus Clark, 58. I'm pretty happy with.
Yeah. Yeah, Crows haven't been scoring too many points actually last couple of weeks, even though they've won a couple of games, which is very, very interesting. My plus and minus 3, so I would have given my plus 3 to Max Holmes. So instead, I will give it to, well, shout out, I guess, to Ned Long and Miles Bergman for putting out tons when they're a bit more mid-priced there. I think I'll give my plus 3 to Harry Sheasel. 119 points, half-time. I was probably thinking about, geez, am I going to have to trade Harry Sheasel, even though he's already had his bye next week, just with the role not looking good. But second half went a lot more into the midfield and a lot further up the ground. And what do you know? North Melbourne actually start playing a lot better and actually end up going over the top of West Coast late in that game. But Harry Sheasel, 119, so what, 89 point second half to get to that score. Yeah, very, very happy with him. Minus 3. Yeah, it's got to go to Riley Hardiman. 33. Like hearing the whispers of Colby, who we'll chat about later on when we get to that game. But the rumours of him going half back, I sort of thought, well, do I still go Hardiman? But then I was like, well, I'd miss Madden. So I was like, who am I going to go for? I could have gone to Zach Johnson. Obviously, hindsight, didn't realise he was going to end up scoring really well. But yeah, Hardiman's potentially a bit of an issue there if Colby is going to stay in this role. So yeah, might have to jump off of him pretty shortly, even though I just traded him in, which sucks because the other trade I was potentially considering was Levi to Doherty. And so that's the trade I'll probably be doing this week. So, but there you go. That's our plus and minus 3s. Guesty, I guess we'll just quickly touch on the Content Creators Cup. Bradley, brought to you by your company, Infinite Wealth, mate. Do you want to maybe recap just a few of the big scores and I guess some of the overall ranks of some of the coaches? Because I know there's a few coaches that are up in the top 1,000, and we've even got a coach in the top 100 now.
Yeah, we'll just a big shout out to MJ. He's been humming along, who had a 1955. He had the highest score in the Content Creators Cup. He's in an overall ranking now of 768, I believe. And then I actually came in second with the second highest score. Once again, pretty happy with that. But yeah, I guess just updating how the AFL Fantasy Fanatics went this week. So Jaiden beat Harmy. Pretty solid win there, 150 odd points or something along those lines. Then I beat Mitch from the Ball Boys pretty solidly by 100 points. Then I'm just trying to see, where are you? Bales, you went down to Lemon by about 40 points. Where's Jordox? We're missing Jordox. Oh, and Jordox got the win over John Holmesy, our 20th coach, who joined the competition at the beginning of the year. So yeah, probably the last thing I'll do is just give people a bit of an update on overall rankings. So Louis still leads the way for us, ranked at 87th. So good job for him inside the top 100 there. We got Holmesy at 134, Lemons at 414, Nathan's at 596, and then we've still got another 4 odd coaches in the top 1,000. So yeah, content creators are doing well.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm just having a look here. Bloody James Peatling got a very, very, very late update because I only lost by 35, but now I'm looking and it says I lost by 39-11. But it doesn't matter. Loss is a loss. That's the story of my in the Content Creators Cup. So, yep, fantastic. Cool. We'll move on to the games and recap. We did recap the first 2 games a bit in the pre-lockout chat on the Saturday, but we can quickly, I guess, just whiz around and get probably Taser's thoughts on a couple of these players here. So obviously the Dogs and Hawks, first game of the round, Hawthorn winning by 22 points. Tim English, 139 was massive pod and a massive score for those that have got him there to start off the round. And Matt Kennedy, 132, very, very nice score. If you went there over a Bont, you got an extra 40 odd points. Lloyd Meek also went 120. Bailey Dale with a 112 was also very good. Taezer, obviously he's had some good scores, had that 64 in between a few of those, but now goes into St Kilda and Richmond. He's a bit more expensive, but what are your thoughts on Bailey Dale as an option?
Yeah, I quite like Bailey Dale. He's shown he's got a ceiling. He plays a lot of games under the lid at Marvel, and yeah, he's on my watch list. It's just if he's the best pick for me this week, so I got to crunch the numbers. I haven't even made trades yet. I've got a rough idea of what I want to do, but I have a look into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, someone to look at. Guesty's boy Newcomb turned up with a 108. Dylan Moore with a 106. So he is someone that we can be considering a bit cheaper, maybe after his bye. But he looked a lot more like the Dylan Moore of previous years on the weekend. Bont was a hard watch with the 91. He got there in the end, but his teammates certainly didn't help him. That was for sure. And Bont in the first half looked pretty sort of almost uninterested, sort of just jogging around everywhere. But 91, if that's his worst score, then I guess that's fine. Trelaw with the 60, I guess probably just a watch if he gets forward status. He's playing a bit of forward, obviously, at the moment. So just a watch on him. And then obviously, a few lower scores like a Sanders 53, Davidson 31, a few other low scores there. But a few people have either trade them out or we'll probably trade them out this week. Moving over to Friday night, which was Adelaide and Brisbane. Very good game, this one, with the Crows getting the job done by 5 points. And Guesty's boy, Will Ashcroft, with the 113. Obviously, very happy with that, Guesty.
Yeah, mate. Look, like I said, I think we talked about this on the pre-lockout chat. Look, for me, Adam Chera and Will Ashcroft have been really good picks. I mean, I think Ashcroft hasn't quite gone up as much, but they're close to putting on 200K each. So, yeah, they've been pretty good picks for me in the midfield.
Yeah, exactly. If you started with both or either of them, you'd be very, very happy. John Dawson, 109, with only 18 disposals. So just shows the levels, I guess, with some of these big midfielders that some midfielders have 39 touches and they'll get like a 110, 120, but John Dawson only needs 18 to ton up. So he was fantastic in that mark and goal. Do not get me started. I could talk about that for a whole hour, but I'll move swiftly on for the listeners. Jake Saligo, 108 was good, along with Jared Berry. McCluggage with 98 as a bit of a pod there, if anyone went there. Dane Zorko, 87, got some attention from Ben Keys in this one. So 87 isn't too bad considering attention and the conditions. But Josh Dunkley, Taezer, 81. Now I think that's 4 or 5 games in a row now, under 100. He's just been getting these 90s and now a couple of 80s as well. When it comes to his buy, I guess we'll reassess in a week or so. But what do we do? As a non-owners, do we even look at targeting him, or do we need to see something before the buy? What are your thoughts with Josh Dunkley at the moment?
Yeah, most teams that I've seen are carrying probably 5 to 5, 6. Some even have 7 premiums on that round 16 buy and have to start moving players on. So if you're if you've got Dunkley as one of those, I think he's a good one to make way. And the other kind of little factor in that is straight after the bye, they play Port, and Port's probably the most restrictive side. So I think if there's one you got to move on, you probably don't want to move on a Baz if you've held him through this. You probably don't want to move on a Holmes, but I think moving on a Dunkley who goes into a Port game, and then when it looks like he's turned around, because it probably will turn around. That's just how Dunkley goes. He nearly always has, he has a couple good runs through the season, and then he nearly always has a run where he kind of hits 90s and low hundreds, and then goes bang.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting that we're even contemplating trading at someone like Josh Dunkley, but that is where we're at the moment, especially with round 16. A few people a bit heavier on that buy, but Isaac Rankin, obviously, Taezer, you mentioned it, -3 for you. Obviously, he's been disappointing since I think he had like a 110 a little bit, maybe like 5 weeks ago, but now that's 5 scores below a ton now, and it's not like he's getting 80s and 90s here. It's like these are some poor scores in here. So you've got, when he scored the 120 against Carlton in round 8, he's gone 77, 89, 89, 63, and 68. Look at that. Port, tough matchup. Sydney obviously was a little bit dewy there, and no Crows play. I don't think a Crows play a ton in that game actually. And then Brisbane, obviously wet weather. He's got the round 15 bye and he's been poor, but he's got Richmond and Melbourne post bye. Where are you sitting at with Rankin at the moment? Is it coming down to probably what he does this week to trade him out? Are you maybe trading him out for 2 weeks and maybe look at bringing him back in close to 800K post his bye for the matchups? Where are you sitting at with Isaac Rankin?
Is he frozen?
I think so. I was thinking that I'd frozen for a bit there. I think Taser's frozen. But Guesty, what are your thoughts on Isaac Rankin and what you might be doing with him?
Yeah, look, he's on the chopping block for me this weekend. or this round, I should say. Look, I mean, obviously he's going to drop cash. Starting to worry a little bit about that. His break-even's up to 119. Look, he still had 50% CBAs, so I don't know whether he's just not scoring or whether he's starting in the CBAs and then drifting forward pretty quickly. I think we've got Taezer back, so I'd be interested to get his perspective. But yeah, look, I think I'm going to hang on to him just because of that run, just for the time being. But yeah, I'm not sure. He's definitely one I'm not certain about.
His game time's actually been very high of late as well. Like he's been over 86% in his last 6 games. So he's been playing bulk game time. But Taezer, what your thoughts on Isaac?
Sorry about that, guys.
all good, mate.
Yeah, I think he's a hold this week. I'm not sure. It probably depends on what your buy structure looks like, but I'm not really in a position to move him on this week. But certainly, like it's probably roll more than anything that I need to see change, because first half of the Brizzy game, he was just staying in forward, and he did play more midfield in the second half, and I believe he scored better in the second half. I don't have the splits in front of me, but got a feeling he probably scored about 40 odd, maybe 42 to 45 in the second half. And, and then
I had a 30-point third quarter and then a 17-point final quarter.
And that coincided with the Crows actually playing a bit better as well.
Yeah, and I think it coincided with him having more CBA. So, he's probably one of the ones where Sam Berry doesn't really have a secondary position. So if he's in the team, I think it pushes Isaac Rankin out of that at least the tight, 3 CBA midfielders. So unless Sam Berry makes way, he's definitely on the chopping block for me. It's just whether I can move him on this week or at his bye, or if it looks like he might have an improved role and I can hold him a bit longer.
Yep, something to definitely watch. Rory Laird as well also scored a 95. Got to mention my boy. He's pretty much did. I reckon I said 5 weeks ago, 6 games, he will score 4 90 scores, 1 score sub 80, and then 1 ton. He's done exactly that over the last 6 weeks, which is pretty funny. Peatling 67 and week suspension, so he is a trade because he'll miss the next 2 weeks, obviously with the game and then the bye. Levi Ashcroft 63. I think we're all going to agree that you can move him on now. It's fine. He still had 23 touches. It was just that the weather only had the 1 mark, no tackles here, and it was looking pretty grim at halftime, but had a pretty good second half. But if you can move him on, you do it. If you need to hold him, I think he's a hold, and you just trade his round 16 bye. That is fine. Kyle Ohm with a 51. That's not too pretty good considering that in the wet to get that 51 makes some good cash. If you did jump on him, you're pretty happy with that. And Ty Gallup showed some good signs, scored a 38. So it'll be interesting to see if he holds his spot this week, but showed some good signs. Did get subbed out tactically, though, at 3/4 time. Moving over to the Saturday games, the ones we didn't cover in the pre-lockout chat. So the first one is Richmond and Sydney. Sydney winning by 44 points. And how about Brodie Grundy? 139, continues to dominate. Would have been good to Brodie if he could have done this for us last year. Instead of doing it now when we've all got our rucks pretty much sorted. But he was very, very good. Draft coach to be very, very happy. Along with anyone that owns Nick Blakey, 133. Roberts being out certainly meant Blakey had a big uptick. But Callum Mills is the one I want to talk to you about, Taezer. So he scored 110, 25 touches with 9 marks. But I think that the important thing, because people look at the score and go, 110, it's a great score. And it is a very good score, right? But he did not attend a single CBA and was in defence for the whole game, had a couple of kick-ins. Where do you sit with him, Taezer, with the fact that we've got a few of these cheaper guys, which a few of them we'll chat about, obviously, in later games, that have got probably better roles? Is Mills someone that you're going to still look at after his bye? Obviously, he's on bye this week, or were you wanting to see the midfield role to trade in, and because he was defence, you're probably not going to go there for the time being?
Yeah, I'm going to hold off at least for his bye and probably that first week coming off the bye. He's got the tougher Port Adelaide matchup, and that's the one this time last year that Port really took him to task and I think belted him by about 100 points. So I definitely want to watch and see how that midfield mix is going to work because, Heaney, Warner, Sheldrick, Callum Mills, Rowbottom, they don't all fit. So someone's going to move out and mean someone's either going to be out of the team or out of the role. And I want to see how that kind of sits when everyone's back playing where they need to play. So if that means I lose a little bit of value, I'm prepared to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. Heaney also turned up, so he scored a 102 in the end as well. And then a lot of people will be happy with this guy. A lot of people will be not happy with this guy. Riley Bice, 93 points, looked really good out on the MCG, but it came from a different role. He played on a wing, which was quite surprising. And I said in a group chat, a few people had a go at me and said, you can't be unhappy with the 93. But I said I was disappointed because he got involved in absolutely none of the junk time ball that they were chipping around there. And I was thinking that was going to be a 110 when Sydney started chip around. He didn't score. I think he had one mark with 40 seconds to go. And I was like, well, that was slightly unders. But anyway, 93 we take, but he's a trade still, particularly with this role on a wing, going to be very up and down. But at least he didn't go down. I think he went down 2K. We say thank you for your services, Bicey, and we trade him out. So he is a trade because he's on bye this week. Tim Taranto, 85. Guesty, he's on bye, I believe, this week. If I'm not mistaken, or the week was it the week after for Taranto? Let me have a quick look. I might have got Taranto's on bye. He's averaging obviously 93 for the year. He's gone 4 of his last 5 have been under 100. Is he a trade out on his buy, currently priced at 932?
Yeah, look, I think you can get creative with stuff like this. He has obviously only got a huge amount of cash on his head, but I think it's more about trying to get off. Yeah, look, he's just really underperforming too far away from those top enders. So I think he's someone that you are going to have to get off sooner rather than later, and the buy is a perfect excuse.
Yeah, you make yourself, you only got to have 4K in the bank to go to a Zach Butters, just for example, who's someone that we're going to be potentially looking at. So, yeah, I think Taranto.
I do wonder whether the kind of trades of this week are going to involve, for a lot of coaches, trying to get in, like your McKerches and your Dohertys, which means, rather than kind of doing that maybe 2 down, 1 up to a big primo, people might take this opportunity to jump off someone like a Rankin or jump off someone like a Taranto and see if they can kind of respread that money and bring in those 2 other players.
Yeah, it's a good shout for sure. Luke Trainer, 84. He was good as well. He played on a wing as well for a lot of this game. But again, similar to Bice, he's on bye this week, put up a good score. If you still got him, he is a trade out. Angus Sheldrick, Taezer, 81, looked good again and got plenty of the ball. Obviously, he's on bye this week, but I think he's 3 or 4 80-plus scores in a row. Is he a hold, or do you take the scores and the cash he's made and maybe move him on to someone?
Yeah. Look, I think he'd be a nervous hold through his bye, as good as he's been, because of the same reason I mentioned before about not wanting to kind of buy into Callum Mills. Is where does Sheldrick fit? He's already playing a little bit of that high half forward hybrid with a bit of inside time. He's just come off in his last 3 games 2 of the easier matchups. So, it would be tough to hold him through his bye, thinking that you're doing the right thing, and then he gets named sub. That's definitely on the cards. And Errol Goulden's probably within a month from coming back as well. So he's another one, just adding another name into the mix that makes it hard for him to really do well. I'd jump off now while he's at his bye.
Yeah, I think I probably would as well, because we know that coaches do reset a bit, and I think they'll have a couple of guys still coming back post-bye, like guys like the Papleys and that. So, and I think even Goulden may even be back after the bye. So that'll be a watch, and yeah, maybe just take the scores and don't have to worry about it. Kane McAuliffe also scored an 80, so he another one. Probably, I think I'd probably trade him as well on his bye there. So I'd trade him. Chad Warner scored an 80, very frustrating. Gave away 5 free kicks, which is an equal career high. Which was fun. He would have turned up, I would imagine, if not for that. So very frustrating in a good matchup. He has been a little bit frustrating, but he's the only primo forward on bye, so I think he's still a hold. But yeah, maybe someone that you can luxury trade maybe after. But you probably could trade on his bye if you were a bit unhappy with his latest performances. And that's pretty much it from that game. So we'll move on to the next game, which is Geelong and Gold Coast. Geelong winning by 24 points. And how about Max Holmes? 146, 40 disposals. And I don't know if you boys saw this at the end. He went onto the bench with about 3 minutes to go, and I was sitting there going, oh, he's not going to get his 40th touch. That's annoying. Came on with 40 seconds to go just to get that touch. It was quite funny. As soon as he got the ball, he handballed it. As soon as he touched it. So shout out to Max Holmes. Absolute piggery, but we absolutely love it. And that was fantastic. So he is going along very nicely. Tom Stewart, our boy, Guesty, 110. Looked pretty good. I think he's looking better, but it's still going to be. I don't know if I can do it now. It's still just a nervous watch. But Grind Myers, Guesty, was someone that we chatted about just pre-pod. 108 again, just keeps getting it done. Yeah. I think it's hard. I think it's hard to bring him in now with a buy and a few other options that were a bit cheaper that we might look at. But is he someone that you're going to be really trying to look at post-buy and getting him into your team?
It depends what price he's going to be by that time. I mean, his last 3 average 117, last 5 average 109. He's shooting up in price. So, yeah. But look, I mean, I guess with Rankin falling away, there's probably some people looking to move. But, yeah, just with the buy in front, I think he's not an option at the moment. And we'll just have to weigh up his price after the buy and see how things are going then.
Ted Closey, 83. Anyone out there that had him on the bench? I know that a good friend of the show, Jake, obviously from Hat Chat, has had him, and he was like 400K, and he just lost 50K and 40K week on week. But 83 for a bit of Bailey Smith cover, who was unfortunately a late out on the Saturday, but sounds like he'll be back this week. Geelong are pretty confident, but obviously anything Geelong so when it comes to any injuries, we have to take with a grain of salt. So we'll be waiting to see what happens with Bailey Smith later in the week. Noah Anderson scored a 60, copped a really hard tag from Mark O'Connor, which was, I thought was going to go the other way and go for a Mullen, but Mullen actually went to a Toot Miller. So one of Geelong going to be using the 2 Irish guys to run these tags moving forward. So something to watch in future weeks. I believe so. Geelong this week have got, who have they got this week? They got the Bombers. So Zach Merritt, I would imagine, is going to cop some attention. Maybe even a Nick Martin. Maybe Mullen goes to Martin and O'Connor goes to Merritt or something like that. So something to watch for sure moving forward with Geelong. Anyone else still want to touch on in this game? Flans with another 34. I really hope he leaves Gold Coast and goes to another team and plays midfield, because he's certainly wasted, I think, a bit too much in that forward line. Moving over to the Saturday night game, which was GWS and Port Adelaide, with Port getting the job done by 16 points. And you have enjoyed this finally, Guesty. Connor Rozee on debut for you. 121 points. 1 goal, 3, which obviously could have even been bigger than that. And then Miles Bergman was actually the one guest that was actually swapping with Rozee. They were swapping a bit between the two. I think Bergman was tagging Toby Green the first half, and then he copped a massive corky. Toby Green got subbed out, then went to Brant Daniels. But I guess, firstly, thoughts on Connor, obviously finally having Connor Rozee, but then also Bergman, is he someone that you might be looking at?
Yeah, he is. Look, I didn't see this game, but we were talking about this a little bit pre-pod. I kind of thought he would be one of the kind of main trading targets this week, but you seem to think it was a bit of a tough watch.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a tough watch, and I'm actually keen to get Taezer's thoughts on Bergman as well, because watching this game, I was, if people watching watch along, all I was doing the first half was complaining. I was complaining, saying why to get Bergman in. I was very unhappy. And he just somehow just kept getting like 10 points very, very quickly. Like he'd be quiet for 10 minutes and he'd get a mark and a tackle. And it's like, it was pretty crazy. He's on 42 at half time. And then second half, when he wasn't doing that hard tagging job on Toby Green and was a bit looser, he's playing a bit more midfield, bit on the back line. He's actually getting those +6s behind the ball as well. So it was a lot better in the first half. But I guess I'm just worried week to week in terms of like this week's got Cozzy Pickett. Like does he go to Cozzy Pickett and follow in the forward line when he goes there? Does he go to Petrarca in the midfield? Like, I'm not sure. So, Taezer, what are your thoughts on Bergman? Because it seems that his role is going to pretty much change quarter to quarter, which I don't love, but he's making cash and has got a ceiling during the buys.
Yeah, so I got my analysis of Miles Bergman wrong. So the reason I brought him in is because I thought he was being an accountable, big-bodied midfielder. And then actually, when I saw him line up with Toby Green, it clicked that he's actually marking up and lining up with the most dangerous forward mid in the opposition's team. So the the big-bodied midfielder who can push forward. So against Crows, it was Heaney, and the thing is, Dawson didn't. Sorry, against Crows, it was Dawson, and Dawson didn't go forward against who did they play after that? Just blanking on the
let me
on their draw.
So they had Geelong. So they didn't, and obviously they had all the injuries, so he had to play in defence because of all the injuries. And then
but he did have Dangerfield, so he started on Dangerfield, and that fits the bill. I think against Freo, I believe he started on Bolton, but he was playing a bit of a mixed role, and they were getting beaten pretty soundly, so he ended up moving all around. I was at the game, and I remember him going forward. And then this week, he was with Toby Green and, stayed back, went forward. I imagine next week he's going to be someone like Heaney. With Petrarca, and then off the bye, he's going to be with Heaney.
You like Heaney at the moment, don't you?
Got Heaney. Sorry, mate. I got Heaney on the brain. I'm training Heaney out. That's why, and it's actually on my screen. So I think that's why I mentioned him a couple of times. Apologies on that. So
it's just going to be interesting to see if he goes to Petrarca or Pickett this week. That's probably the thing that is going to be the real interesting thing. I think he matches up better with a Petrarca, but he played on Toby Green. So does he go with Pickett? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Look, maybe I think he matches up better with the big-bodied mid forwards. And look, really happy with the score. He's an awesome player. He's got to be like probably top 3-4 players at Port Adelaide. He's fantastic. I can see why St Kilda want him. But, I'm going to ride him through, but I've already circled his name for round 17 coming off the buys. He's moving because I think he's going to be a tough watch at times.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I wouldn't be trading into him now. I think if you moved on to him this week or before the bye, I think you ride him out because he's still got a fairly low break-even of 50, but 770 with this role changing week to week. I agree. I think I'd just be passing for the time being. Tom Green, 109, looked better and scored pretty well. So good score from him. Lockie Ash with a 105. That probably, if you're an owner of Ash, I think you're probably sort of slightly disappointed because he was on 99 at three-quarter time. Only had the 6 points in last quarter. Whitfield did move a bit more into defence in that last quarter. But, Ash, 105, still ton up, which is good, but probably won a tiny bit more than what he got. Zach Butters, 104, massive target, I think, this week, even with the Bedford. Bedford didn't really go to Butters. He went to him at times, but Bedford did sort of just went sort of all over the shop, which was really interesting. I thought that he would have really locked down on Butters in this game, but when he did, Butters was quiet, but then when he didn't, Butters obviously went pretty big. So will be interesting to see, though, because we obviously saw today with Nick Dacos, Melbourne ran a pretty tight tag on Nick Dacos. Well, pretty tight is probably saying pretty lightly. It was within an inch of his life for a lot of the game there. It'd be interesting to see if they do something similar with Butters this week, but I still think good target, 936K. Still has a 120 break-in, so you don't have to go this week, but he is a good target. Lockie Whitfield, 86. Again, bit of a mixed role, playing a lot of that half forward and sort of wing role for the first half. Did sometimes go back, and then again in that last quarter went a lot more in defence. So non-owners are obviously just waiting because he's going to obviously keep plummeting in price. But yeah, it's quite a hard watch for owners of him at the moment. Nick Madden scored an 80 as well, Taezer, so as a number one ruck. I thought he showed some good signs, but also some times where they did a few sort of not great things. But first game, it's always going to happen, I guess. But with the 80, he's got a bye in 2 weeks' time. And if you've got a Boyd, it's probably a waste of going Boyd to him. Are you trading another rookie down to him, or do you just think if you don't have him, you let it go? And if he's I guess if he's in the team post bye, maybe you could jump on then as an R3.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to let him go because I don't think he's going to hold past that round 16 bye, and the 3 weeks isn't enough time to generate good cash. So as good as he's been, and I haven't seen his latest prices or his projector, is he going to be up to 300?
280K minus 12 break even. So you got 2 weeks, but he's got Wits into Brisbane and McInerney's probably going to be back by that point.
Yeah, so I think you just got to tip your hat, and if you had a Marshall, I think he just made the most sense. Having him as your R3 and covering him for Marshall in the round just gone, perfect sense. Almost kissed for anyone who has him, but I don't think I want to have him going forward, because buying into him, he might only have 2 games left in the team. And in those tough matchups, I don't think he's going to score enough to cover a Gawn and be like a worthwhile trade. So, or locking out your utility. So, look, it might suit some teams. It's not going to suit mine. And yeah, hat tip, ride the cash gen. And I don't think he's a great buy-in though.
Yeah, I think for owners that have got Gawn, I think you could go there because he covers you next week. But I think if you've got Cherry Marshall, which I know a lot of people do, I think you're probably just letting it go because he's not going to count to your best 18. As you say, Taezer, I think he's got 2 weeks in the team and then he's probably not there. And I think we've got another rookie as well who's got a negative 11 break-in, which I think a lot of people are going to go to this week. So I think we do have that rookie downgrade. But you never know. A few people might even just want to go to get both, to get Madden and get Zach Johnson, who we'll talk about a little bit later on. Joe Fonte, 74 as well. If you had him, you'd be pretty happy. The last couple of weeks, he's put up some good scores that would have counted for you. Kane Farrell, the 67 is disappointing. And Brent Daniels is just someone just to circle on your black book as someone that maybe post-buy could be of note. We obviously know how good a player is. He's had a bit of an injury-interrupted season, but he's currently priced at $664K, was the starting sub last week and scored 54 points in the second half. So just someone to keep an eye on because we know he can score, and he could be that 23rd premium, that F7 that you loop between maybe him and like a Caleb Daniel or in my case. And
working on my 23 premiums, mate.
Yes, yeah, but I know a lot of people have got a lot of more money than us, Guesty. So people might be going for that 23rd premium soon. And yeah, unfortunately, Guesty, you obviously had a massive week, but Toby Green was someone that you had and scored a 20. I guess the buys was good.
I didn't count for you, Toby Green.
Didn't you bring Toby Green in?
So I was looking at bringing him in last week, but then when he looked a bit sore on the Friday, I pivoted.
Okay, yeah, beautiful. I'm glad you didn't move there. O'Halloran scored a 50 as well, so he's just a trade, I think. He's unfortunately been a failed pick, back-to-back 50s. He's just not going to get it done, unfortunately. And Christian Morais, a lot of people were hoping he wasn't going to come on, so would install his cash gem, but was a starting sub, came on, kicked a goal, but scored just a 12 points. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's completely stalls his cash gen. Moving over to the final 3 games, so we'll start on the Sunday. But as always, our podcast this season is sponsored by good friends at Game Day Squad. So again, you guys know what Game Day Squad is all about. It's another AFL fantasy platform, but there is a brand new competition that they have released. It's called the Contender competition. So for anyone that hadn't signed up yet to Game Day Squad, it's almost like round 1 starts this upcoming week. You can start now and you can potentially go in the running to win weekly prizes, end of the season prizes. So if you haven't signed up to Game Day Squad, use our code BAILSDT at sign up, and you get yourself a few free packs there, valued at $21 for absolutely free. But you also can get stuck into, I guess, a new competition that starts from this week. So make sure you guys get involved and head over to gamedaysquad.com.au to sign up. We'll move over to North Melbourne and West Coast. Home game for North Melbourne, but out at Bunbury at Hands Over, obviously, with North Melbourne. Home away from home, as they like to call it, but getting the job done by 10 points. And Harry Sheasel obviously got it done. As I mentioned, we were on +3. Was late forward. Yes, got it done very late. He was stuck forward for a lot of the first half. And I think it was the first or second quarter. He got stuck on the bench for, I think it was over 10 minutes, which I still think is crazy in this day and age that these star players get stuck on the bench for more than 5 minutes, let alone double that. But I think North Melbourne played better in the second half when he was more in the midfield. So if you've got him, you probably went from trading him halfway through that game to he's a hold now, and hopefully he can just keep getting these scores done. But the tackles was really good to see as well there. Big X, 111, probably not what we were hoping for. Like 111 is not awful, but I think we're all thinking, when all of us are thinking he's probably going 140, 150 to get a 111, we're probably sitting there going, oh, okay, probably a little bit less than what we thought. But 111, we still take that. Caleb Daniel, 97, Guesty, had 9 kick-ins, and with Sheasel playing more up the ground, is he someone that I think, well, if you've got him, you hold, but if you trade him out, could you bring him back in?
I'm not sure if you've traded him out. You want to go back to the well. What about with McKercher going down back as well? Do we think that McKercher's going to eat into whatever Daniel's going to do? I mean, if we look at the splits in terms of the points, like Daniel got 37 of his points in the first quarter. And McKercher kind of had a 36-point third quarter. So as things kind of changed up the more they went into the game. So yeah, how do you see that?
Well, I think that they're just doing the number 1 and 2. It's Caleb Daniel and it's Colby McKercher. They're the 2 ones there. And shout out to Drew Jones, Goat Fantasy, doing great stuff there, listening to stuff all the time. And if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you do, because 2 things got bang on the money this week. He said that about Sam Doherty, there were talks about him going half back. And also shout out to Jordy for saying about that article early in the week. But then also saying Colby McKercher was looking to go back to half back. And that's exactly what he did. And had 35 disposals and scored just the 91. But Taezer, I think with McKercher, I feel like as non-owners, we probably got away with it because West Coast normally are pretty difficult for defenders to score against. And I think that's why the marks were down, had just the 1 mark, 1 tackle. But with this role at 633K, is he just a bit of a no-brainer, particularly for people like a Riley Bice? It's like a 40K upgrade. Is he, Colby McKercher, someone that you're looking at bringing in this week?
Absolutely, looking at bringing him in. Got to see how I make it work. But if you have a bit of money left over, if you've got to be kind of a bit tricky with your third trade, you want to do 1 up, 1 down. I don't mind him. I think he's a good buy. And just as you said, he didn't get the marks, which is why his score wasn't there. He also gave away a few free kicks. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he gave away a couple, I remember. And a lot of handball receives, but it just wasn't a game for a lot of marks. It was very contested in that first half, which is why Cherry went out of the gate scoring really well. But then the second half, it became a lot more open, which worked well for Sheasel. Didn't work well for Cherry. So yeah, definitely on my watch list.
Yep. And it's not only that, it's the fact that he also looked really, really good as well. And I think North will be pretty happy with him back there. So I think he's a target. And I do think Caleb Daniel is still the number 1 kick-in taker, right? It's going to be him or McKercher taking the kick-ins. I think Daniel's probably not someone that's got that massive upside on the forward line. You might not want to trade back, but I think he's an option at 795 if you want to trade back into him. But I know a lot of people just go, I'll look at another option instead. Maybe even a Matt Kennedy who went massive. You've got the money to just spend up for him. Going through a few other players here. So my spicy take during the week, I said Finn O'Sullivan was going to finally go over 60 points. And not only did he do that, he scored 81, which is fantastic. Gets a little bit of cash gen there. Looked really good as well. Like, I don't know, like, Rising Star's been announced yet. No one is coming immediately to mind. I think Finn O'Sullivan's probably going to be the guy that gets it. Not sure if there was someone else, if it's been announced yet, if someone else will get it. But I think that Foss was very good. And if you've got him still, we might finally get a little bit of that cash gen that we were hoping for. Hopefully he can back it up with another score. Ryan Mack with a 68. Again, still played that wing role. If you still got him, I think he's still a trade. And then Riley Hardiman, 33, just didn't, again, probably a little bit Taezer. We talked about the game style, so it wasn't really a lot of marks going around for those defenders. If you jumped on him like I did this week, do you just hold him for 1 more week? So he's got to break in, I think, in the 40s. Do you hold him just to see how he goes? Or do you think it's just a case of if you jumped on him, you just jump straight back off because McKercher and Caleb Daniel are clearly the top 2 back there?
I think you probably give it another week to see how it plays out. What do they play? They play Freo on Saturday.
At Optus, yeah.
Yeah, look, if he's your if you've got the luxury trade, I don't think he's going to make a lot more cash, and I don't think he's going to be he's not going to be fieldable past the buys. So, whether it's this week, whether you hold him, it probably depends a little bit on what your buy structure looks like. If he's your 21st, 20th, 19th on field, I don't think he's going to lose much cash. So I'd be prepared to hold him for a week, maybe even a couple of weeks, and then move him on with whatever cash you can get off his head.
Yeah, agreed. And then by Allen as well. Like, the sub rule's a joke. We all know this, right? But why do coaches sub on some with 2 minutes to go? Just leave them off. Like, leave them off. That just again, the coaches don't care about fantasy. I know that, and anyone that makes the argument, that just infuriates me, because I know that coaches don't care, but we're allowed to chat about it, right? It's just annoying. I don't own Bo Allen, and I'm annoyed for people that have got Bo Allen. Right? Is that cash-in's done? He's just going to be a green dot, potentially, maybe even a pink dot a lot of the time, and yeah, just very frustrating. 0 points there. Only had the 7% game time. Come on, Minnie, you got to sub him on at least with a quarter to go. Moving over to the Sunday night game, a good game this one. Carlton get the job done just over Essendon there, and George Hewitt returned to form, scored about 80 points better than he did before the bye with a 125. I still don't know if I'd trust jumping into him, but a good score nonetheless. Tom de Koning, wonder if anyone out there still got him, but 121. He was fantastic in this game, but Taezer, we'll go to your boy. You brought him in this week. Sam Doherty, 112 points. And someone, I think, shout out to Hat Chat League 6 for chatting about Doherty. I think someone, I can't remember who it was, someone asked, is this sustainable for Doherty? I think this is sustainable for Sam Doherty for sure if he's playing halfback, like the 13 marks I'm talking about there in terms of sustainability. He was just, again, racking up those plus sixes. And I think Taezer, do you think he's an option? Because I guess DPP's round 18. Does he get defender status potentially in round 18?
Yeah, look, even if he's not defender status, I don't think it matters. I think the value that's there in a time when lots of teams are struggling to generate cash, I think he's a great option. I'm not struggling to generate cash. I'm probably right in the top kind of 1% of
you've already
team
got him,
value.
you don't have to worry about it.
But I picked him up this week instead of a Bont or those kind of ones because I figured he could score in line with a Bont or a Butters certainly over the next 5 weeks. And at the moment he's got Bont tipped by 20 points. I don't think that'll last, but he's got Bont tipped at the moment, and he's going to make that cash. So I expect he's going to be someone that I'm going to hold in my side for at least the next 5-6 weeks, and he'll be a lower priority trade out. And if he gets that defender status, then he could slot in at D6 and just be a solid, solid contributor. But the marks are there. I think Carlton are a better side with him there. It kind of blows my mind that they weren't just doing this earlier in the season. Like he's a good ball user. He calms things down. He does defensive acts. Like he's not just kind of racking the pill up like like maybe Caleb Daniel does at times for North Melbourne. Like he's actually making intercepts and he's he didn't lay any tackles, but I think he had a few tackle attempts that just the ball didn't go got out to the opposition and that kind of thing. So I think that it's sustainable scoring. You won't score 13 marks every week, but he'll probably get more possessions in other games, and he'll probably get some more tackles than others. So, a lot to like about his role.
Yeah, and he goes West Coast and North Melbourne in his next 2. So again, we're talking about West Coast, a bit trickier for defenders. Be interesting to see how that goes this week. But yeah, I think Doc is a good option. As you say about Carlton, Blind Freddie could have told you at the start of the year, put Doherty at halfback, and Voss is like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're gonna play him in the VFL, but took a big intercept mark late as well. That he played very, very well. Jai Caldwell, he's a gun. 110 points.
Yeah.
Slowed down for probably a little bit of the second half, but again, he just wish I'd gone him a couple weeks ago. He's just getting it done and going along very nicely. Ollie Hollands, or as I like to call him, the guy that hates Matt Carroll, scored a 109. Where was this early in the year? And again, passed to Matt Carroll. Like he ignored him like probably 10 times in that game. Adam Chera, 107. A good score considering that he went off for I think 10, 15 minutes. Which is crazy. He got hit in the head by Durham, and good that he got 2 weeks because that was a very bad hit. Complete went past the ball and hit him in the head. But 10 minutes later, they finally took him off for the HIA to be precautionary. But the fact that he still scored 107 from that is very, very good. Says injured on the app, but I think he was suffering just again from cramps. This happened again against Geelong, I believe it was. Went off quite late and they just rest him. So I think he's fine. But I guess in case something happens, just keep an eye on the injury report. Nick Martin, 106. That certainly looked not great at 3-quarter time, but 44-point last quarter with 12 disposals. Still can't believe he wasn't drafted earlier. He's just an absolute gun and gets it done. Taezer, were you going to say something about Chera just before?
Yeah, I was going to say, so the incident that he's listed as injured for is he went down, I think it was, I know exactly when it was. It was 3 minutes to go left on the clock because I've gone back and watched it. He overstretched a hammy and beat the ground in disappointment, jogged for about 50 meters and then went straight off the bench. Now, I don't know if he's done a hammy, and the commentators, at least on KO, were saying, "Oh, this doesn't look good. It sounds like looks like he might have done a hammy." But Michael Voss didn't talk about it after. Adam Chera was interviewed and didn't mention it.
Yeah.
So I'd just keep an eye on it. Like, don't be completely shocked if you find out.
Bit of hamstring awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And funnily enough, with Baz, I was at the West Coast versus Geelong game, and I saw Baz go off and grab at his hammy, and I sent a message to a friend of the pod, Louis, saying, "Oh, Baz might be done here," and Baz went back on and scored, and I felt like an idiot for kind of being an alarmist, and then turns out that it actually came through, and he did hurt his hammy, and he did need a week off. So. So yeah, I'd just keep an eye on it. If Drew Jones is watching this, maybe he's a good one to look into and double check that there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, good point there for sure. Sam Walsh, 105 as well, was pretty solid. I think from memory, he had an uptick in his CBA. So he was, he did. He was the second highest CBA tendy behind Cripps. So Cripps had 20, Walsh had 19, then Chera 18, Hewitt 15. So it was a pretty tight 4-man mix, which is, I guess we've been wanting Carlton to do for a while, and just to keep it tight and get Walsh a bit more opportunity. So it's something definitely to be watching because Walsh is at a good price, didn't go massive, so still cheap. So someone to keep an eye on. You don't have to launch into it, but West Coast this week could be a good opportunity to maybe jump on him potentially. Cooper Lord, 81, was good as well. So if we jumped on him, you're pretty happy. Zach Merritt with a 79, only 14 touches there. I think he had 6 tackles in the third quarter. But yeah, 79 was disappointing, and he's obviously got Mullen or O'Connor this week, I would imagine. So it could be another lower score there. But Zach Johnson, Guesty, we talked about Madden, obviously being one of those rookies with the -12 break-even. But Zach Johnson, 79 points. He's now got a -11 break-even as well, and looked pretty good in this game. Had a good last quarter with 29 points. But I guess we've talked about the limited amount of rookies coming through and cash gen stalling. Do you think he's a guy that if you don't have him, you just, even though he's got a bye couple of weeks, you just have to jump on?
Yeah, I think, look, one of the things that's certainly coming into play is positions. So I know we talked about, once again, pre-pod, Bales. I know you need a forward rookie. I need a forward rookie. We've got, is it Isaac Keeler that's coming off? Is that his name,
Yeah.
Isaac? Or am I making that up?
Yeah,
who's coming off by, who was playing down back. So I think he's the option, but he's a little bit more expensive and he's forward. So, yeah, look, there's not a huge amount of options, but if you need a mid, I think he might be the one.
Yeah, it could be an option there. 320K. Zach Johnson's is he 279? I think that's his price now. No, 289. Yeah, -11 break even. I think I'm definitely looking at jumping on him this week, even though I need a forward, because currently Shea Bolton is my F7. So obviously I know that. I know I've got a couple weeks to make sure I fix that. So obviously just means make sure I do fix it. Going through a couple other scores here. Luau looked pretty good on debut, scored a 59. But I think Zach Johnson is definitely the guy that we're going to be going for. Angus Clark played off halfback, scored 58. Did look a little bit out of his depth. I don't think he's played much there at all, and sort of got thrown there with all the injuries back there. But did have some good moments throughout the game, though. 58 wasn't too bad. Hudson O'Keefe scored a 56. If Harry Mackay's out for a prolonged period, Hudson O'Keefe could be someone that, if you've got no other option, I think he is. Is he a forward or a ruck? That would be the question there. No, he's a ruck, so probably looking there, unfortunately. But it sounded quite funny when the umpire called for Peter Wright and then Hudson O'Keefe and said Peter Hudson. So that was quite funny for all the people that know their footy history. Paddy Cripps, hopefully you didn't jump on him with just the 56. Got the Setterfield tag and didn't really get involved at all. Just the 15 touches there with a poor score. Matt Carroll subbed that tactically to my infuriation on Sunday night. So he can go if you've got him. Yeah, that's probably about it. But yeah, Chincotta did tag Zach Merritt. So that is something to keep an eye on with Carlton moving forward. They've got West Coast this week. So I'm not sure exactly who he'd go to, but the week I'd probably Harley Reid. But after that, yeah, just keep an eye on the Carlton matchups. I believe he's got Port Adelaide in a couple of weeks as well. So maybe Zach Butters could be someone to keep an eye on with some attention. Final game of the round, King's Birthday, Melbourne and Collingwood. What a game this was. 1 point winners to Collingwood. I would like to see Collingwood lose a game, a close game at some point, but they just keep getting it done. And Josh Dacos, 128. He was everywhere. I was really surprised that they didn't send someone to him because he just got so much open space, but season high score for him. Very good score. Max Gawn with a 122 with a big score. So if you had him captain coming home, you'd be very happy with that there. Clayton Oliver with a 109. And I guess you're happy with Oliver there, especially after a low score the week before. I think the big turn point from a fantasy point of view for this game, Guesty, I want to get your thoughts first, then Taezer. Ned Long. He's on his bye this week. He's turned up in 3 games in a row. He's gone 132, 101, 101. He's now up to 875K, break even to 63, and he's got St Kilda West Coast post his bye. Is he a trade out on his bye and you take the cash gen and you shake his hand and say, thank you, Longy, for your service? Or do you hold him on his bye?
I think you got to hold. He's scoring in line with the top 10 in his line. You've got value there as well. So there might even be people looking to jump on after his buy. I don't think you can be trading him. Obviously it's team dependent, but who are you going to? Maybe
you got Butters, Doherty, McKercher,
sure,
makes a bit of cash.
Sure. Yeah, maybe if you're running out of cash, there's an opportunity to go long down a Doherty, bank a bit of cash and do something else with your team. But I also think it's one of those bye weeks where I think most people are not going to have a huge amount of people on bye. So to be able to hold someone like a Long, I think you might be all right.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion. Taezer, what are your thoughts with Ned Long?
My plan was to trade him, but I can't trade someone who's averaging 111 in the last 3 and still has a break even of 63. Like he's gonna keep going up in cash. He's got games. Was it St Kilda and then West Coast?
Yeah,
they're pretty good matchups. He's pretty entrenched in the team. If he's your worst player, your headache coming out of the bye, then move him on because you can go up to a top 8 mid with him. But I've got other on my team's doing quite well. I've got plenty of cash gen, and I'm in the top 100 at the moment. And he's far from one of my concerns.
Yeah, talk about a flex. Saying cash gen's going all right. I'm in the top 100. It is, but that's just saying, I guess, how good Ned Long's going because he's not an issue.
Yeah,
I think that
absolutely.
I agree. I think you hold him, but in saying that, I think there is definitely a world you can trade. His break even is 63, but we know when players get up this high that if they score an 80, their break even will go up to 90, and then their cash gen's probably done, right? And the other thing I didn't like, the last quarter, he went off 3 times, 3 separate times. He started on the bench, came on for a couple minutes, went back to the bench, came on for 2 minutes, went back off. Collingwood still don't fully trust him when the game's on the line, which I still don't really get because I think he's been a really good player and really helps that midfield. But that is just something I don't love. But St Kilda West Coast, you'd think are games where Collingwood will have the game in hand, so he probably doesn't have that issue. Just a slight flag just to raise with him. So don't get too comfy. Hold him if you're holding, but he will obviously be a trade out at some point. Going down the list here, Petrarca 89. That's okay as a forward. We'd like a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Nick Dacos 83, as I said before, was tagged within an inch of his life by Ed Langdon, and it was still good that he got to an 83 in the end. Only the 19 touches for him there, but I think that he'll definitely bounce back. Obviously, post-bye could have a Windhager tag, but then I think he'll be pretty good after that. Keep scrolling down the list here. Cozzy Pickett scored 64. If anyone's got him there, did kick 3 goals to get there, so I'd be trading him out probably on his bye if you've got him. I think he can go. Along with Harvey Langford, 55 was pretty good, but his scoring's obviously slowed down the last couple of weeks. He can go. Will Hayes, 38 in his game there. He's got the bye. I think he's a really good downgrade. Obviously, guess we're talking about looking for a forward rookie. Mid-forward, Schultz is still going to be out for about a month post-bye. He could be that mid-forward we're looking for, even if he's not going to be a huge scorer. Could just be that guy we sit there. Ed Allen was, again, a few people went there. I think he's about 483 with a minus break even, but he was subbed out on 33. And, Xavier Lindsay was the other one that got subbed out in this game on 31. I think he got caught holding the ball or got caught for a high tackle and then got subbed straight away. So I'm not sure if it was just a pre-planned, I'm assuming it's a pre-planned one, but disappointing from him. He lost a bit of cash this week as well. Beautiful. All righty. Well, that will wrap us up. That's all of the games. And because it's Monday and because we've got a Q&A tomorrow night, we're going to do all the questions tomorrow night. We did have a super chat here quickly, though, from Tim Ashworth, which we'll touch on. Thank you, mate, for that one. He says, dropped to 113th this week. I've got Ashcroft, Peatling, Long, Hardiman with no cash. What do I do? Well, Tim, if you could, I would just suggest Hardiman stay. Long stays. If you're trading the other 3, maybe you go Hardiman down to a Zach Johnson. Maybe you go Peatling to a Kai McKercher, and then you go Levi.
Well, is that Levi? Yeah.
Yeah, Levi. Yeah. And I know Tim's going quite well. I think, or if you go Levi and Peatling to Doherty and Butters, maybe do that. If you can do that, maybe just wait a week on Colby potentially.
Look, the other thing I just wanted to say for Tim as well, stop. I know you're panicking a bit over the weekend. I got a message from you there. Don't forget, we're only just gone past halfway through the season, so there's still a long way to go. And you don't want to be making any panic moves at this particular point in time, especially when you're sitting at 113. So, just look at smart trades. Still try and find some value there, and still look for that the long term.
Yeah, I'd also add for Tim, don't try and win the week every single week. This bye period is supposed to you're supposed to use your 3 trades to actually improve your team and get all the primos off. Like it's 2 down, 1 up is a really good way to go. And then once you've filled your team, or if you're really clear, you're gonna have 22 premiums running around. Then you start sidewaysing and getting a little bit creative. But if you just sideways Ashcroft, or you sideways Peatling, and you sideways Hardiman, then your team's not really any better. You might get on slightly better guys who will score better, but just have a look. There's still, you got to be disciplined sometimes, and go down to a rookie who's going to score and build team value and that kind of thing. Just keep that in mind.
I know we're not. I know Taezer was just saying don't try and win the week, but I have been trying to win the week these last couple of weeks. I'm actually up to 35th in the Lord of the Buys, which I'm pretty happy with. So we'll see how we go from here.
Yeah, I'll hopefully get the job done there, and shout out to obviously a good friend of the show, Urban, for running Lord of the Buys. Always good fun. I'm 506th, I don't think I'll be winning anything this year. AFLW Fantasy, let's go. Let's win a hat in that one. That's where I'll be going for. But that'll wrap us up for tonight. As we said, apologies we didn't get to any questions tonight, but hopefully some of the chat helped answer some of those questions. But we're back tomorrow night, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. per time, answering all of your questions. So make sure you guys tune tomorrow night, and we're answering all your questions there. But if you do want a guaranteed answer in the meantime, or you want a team review, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, and become a Patreon member. You get team review every week by myself. Then you also get your exclusive Patreon Q&As every Wednesday night /Thursday morning. bonus other content in there as well. And if you just like to help support us a little bit as well, then yeah, click the link in the description of the podcast or the video. But yeah, we'll quickly go around the room and see what, I guess, trade plans we may be thinking of. Obviously, lockout is only just lifted while we're recording. So, Taezer, what have you thought about over the weekend? What potential trade plans are you thinking about doing?
So, two pretty clear ones that I want to get off are the Sydney. Actually, I might even be trading 3 Sydney guys this week. So, Isaac Heaney, Chad Warner, and Caden Cleary are probably going to be my outs. I banked a bit of cash with some downgrades last week, so with some cash playing around with. So I'm looking at bringing in Butters, Bont, and Caden Cleary to Colby McKercher, probably as a 3.
Yeah, trading at Heaney over long. Heaney's gotten 3 of his last 4 being tons.
Yeah, but his run doesn't look great coming up. And I think he's not going to be a top 10 mid. So I don't want to mess around with him too long there.
Yeah, not a bad call there. Guesty, what are your thoughts with your trades?
Yes, I think I'm going to go down like a big down because I've got 7 kind of, let's call them primo forwards, right? A bit like you, Shai Bolton as the F7, but that includes a Levi Ashcroft. I think Levi will go for me this week, just now that his break-even's getting up there a fair bit. And he's got a bike looming. So I'll probably go down from him down to Keeler, which will bank a whole ton of cash. And then that'll allow me to upgrade Sam Berry to Sam Doherty and then a Riley Bice to Colby McKercher, leaving 162K in the bank for next week.
Beautiful. And I think my trades are almost locked in as well on Monday night, like they sometimes are. Carroll down to Zach Johnson to bank a bit of cash. Bice to McKercher and Levi Ashcroft to Sam Doherty, I think are the trades I'm looking at doing this week. And keen on Butters as well. So I might go Butters. I need a forward rookie still, but with Warner on bye this week, Petrarca and that on bye the week after, I don't have to do it this week or next week, but the earlier I can do it, the better. So Will Hayes is someone I'm probably looking at doing maybe the week after and bringing him in if he's named in the team. But yes, as I said, that'll wrap us up. So appreciate everyone that tuned in live. And if you didn't tune in live tonight, obviously it's a different time as always, but make sure you tune in live next time, either for our Tuesday night Q&As, Friday Pre-Lockout Chats, or our round reviews, which is within half an hour of the final game of the round, obviously being on the Sunday more often than not. So if you guys want to tune in live, make sure you guys do that. But yeah, Taezer, where can the people find you across the socials? Thanks for jumping on tonight.
You're welcome. Glad. Thanks for having me. And you can find me at Taezer87 on Twitter. And yeah.
Beautiful, mate. We're going to be keeping an eye to see if you can, how far you can go. Top 100, obviously going along very nicely, mate. So hopefully you can stay there and even rise up a little bit more and then see how you can try your luck a little bit higher in the rankings. Guesty, mate, where can the people find you?
Tim Guest, AU.
Yeah, you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans across the socials. If you are tuning in live, make sure you do smash a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We are only 70 subscribers away from 4,000. So I appreciate everyone that smashed the subscriber numbers this year. We are very close to our massive goal. So if you can help us reach that, that'd be very much appreciated. If you're listening back on the pod, 5-star rating and review. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow night for our Q&A. So thank you, everyone, and have a good night. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.